Can you see now the participants on?
Yes, people are coming online now, so we'll just give them a couple of minutes.
Yeah, okay. And they can't hear us at the moment, can they?
Yes, they can.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So I'll start with the good evening will be the cue for the beginning.
Yes, that's okay. Everybody can hear us now. So okay. We'll be starting in a moment or so. We're just giving everybody a chance to come online.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening. Hello, everyone. I'm Anne-Maria Nicholson, and I'd like to welcome you all to the first virtual political campaign in the Northern Beaches for the Candy Bingham and the Good for Manly team. We'd all hoped to have been together tonight personally, celebrating, but COVID has put a stop to that, as it has to the elections on the 4th of September, which have now been postponed to the 4th of December. But we decided to push on anyway, because we're all revved up and we're very excited about tonight. And I can see some people have gone to a lot of trouble and dusted off their glad rags. So later in the evening, we've already asked some people to send in some slides of themselves dressed up. And later, if you want to send selfies of yourself to that email address on screen, we will show as many of them as possible. But first, I'd like to start with an acknowledgement to the traditional custodians of this land in the Northern Beaches and elders past and present. Aboriginal culture is integral to our understanding of belonging, community, and the care of the land. Now I'd like to introduce the main person here tonight who's heading the Good for Manly team. I'd like to welcome Deputy Mayor and leader of the team, Candy Bingham. Now, Candy is a third-generation Manlyite with a long career in management, including running her own public relations agency and writing 5 books. Candy was first elected to Manly Council in 2012 as an independent councillor, and she's established a strong record of representing the community in a myriad of ways. Councillor Bingham has served on numerous council committees, such as waste management, arts and heritage, audit and risk and community safety. She's also a champion fundraiser and has helped the Manly Women's Shelter, Manly Rotary and Pioneer Clubhouse. And she has a passion project which has benefited all of us. I'm sure all of you have walked around that ferry bower walk and seen that statue of the sculpture of the sea nymphs, which has become such an identifiable icon for Manly. Well, in the storms, it was severely damaged, and Manly, Candy Bingham led a fundraising campaign to rebuild that, and we all enjoy that beauty today. So she's a real doer, and I'd love to welcome you now, Candy.
Thanks, Anna-Maria. And hey, hi everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We had planned to meet in person. We had it all organised. What a pity. But don't worry, we're going to make it fun tonight. So you will enjoy it. And we've got some very interesting people for you to meet shortly and a few fun ideas to show you as well. So great to see you all here.
Now, also tonight, Candy, you were going to introduce your 2 running mates. And I'm just wondering what it was that you were looking for with those candidates.
I'm actually very excited. It will be shortly. I'll be introducing our 2 candidates. At the moment, you can't see them and they've got question marks in front of them just to add a little sense of mystery. But what we will be doing is, oh, somebody's just connected who shouldn't be connected. Who's that? Oh, it's Sonia. Oh, what's happening? Oh, gosh. Don't worry. We're used to all these challenges that we have. We'll just press on, guys, because we're going to have some fun tonight. So what do I look for in a candidate? Here's what I look for. I think the first thing that we need to have in a candidate is passion. You really want somebody who wants to make a difference to their community. The second thing that we look for, and we'll ask Sonia to put her thing on mute, thank you. The second thing that we're looking for is a professional background. I think you need to have a solid working background to understand the complexities of the sorts of projects that council handles. I mean, it's a $500 million budget, 52 different services. So a good professional background really helps to understand how all that works and to make a contribution. community focus, obviously, but at the end of the day, I think they have to be a nice person.
Well, we also, as well as being a launch tonight, it is a fundraiser. What do you need the money for in this political campaign, and what's the main event there?
Okay, well, I think the big challenge that we have, of course, is that we're not like the big national political parties who have a huge source of funds available to them. We have to rely on the community and individuals to support us. Now think about this, there's 55,000 households we have to reach, 26,000 voters. So obviously, because we're so environmentally focused, as much as possible, we will, we'll use digital. But of course, some things have to be put in letterboxes. We have to put call flutes up around people's yards so that as many people as we can get to see our message. So how to vote cards, we'll need about 20,000 of those, 25,000 flyers to go into letterboxes, call flutes. And the other thing that costs money, of course, is the Electoral Commission. We have so many regulations and things that we have to follow, and we have to audit everything that we do at the end of the campaign. So thank you to all of those who've already made a donation. We are so grateful. And as you can see, we'll be talking shortly about our auction, and that's another way that you can support us.
So that's the silent auction that is really innovative, and there's 17 great prizes. A lot of them are experiences, aren't they, Candy?
Well, that's right. And I really want to acknowledge Laurie Callahan. I gave her the challenge of coming up with an auction with a difference, and I'll tell you what, she has not disappointed. So you've all been sent the link to the auction, and it's on the screen here as well. When you look through the sorts of prizes that she's got together, really unusual things, like how about a champagne lunch with an Archibald Prize winner? How would that be in her studio? We've also got things like a gin and tonic with the former Lord Mayor of Sydney. We've got David Taylor, who's also helping us with the bid and has been working very hard putting together the website. Thank you, David. An amazing sculpture that he's created, and that's proving a very popular item. But I think also another one, because the words got out, is Helen Allchurch's sticky date puddings. They're a hot item. So there's plenty to choose from.
That's great. And there's still time to make a bid, although only not very long, because at 9:30 tonight, it will be closed, and then the successful bidders will be informed by email. It might be a little while before you can take up some of these experiences because we have to get out of lockdown first, but hopefully that won't be too much longer. Now, I'd like to give you a little bit of background on this election, just to set the stage. On the 4th of December, we go to the New South Wales local government polls for the first time in 4 years. So COVID led to a 1-year postponement. We will all be voting in the Manly ward of the Northern Beaches Council. You may recall the council was formed in 2016 after Manly, Warringah and Pittwater councils were amalgamated. There are 5 wards, each with 3 councillors, who have been there since the first elections in 2017. Manly ward covers Manly, Manly Vale, Seaforth, Clontarf, North Balgowlah, Balgowlah Heights and Fairlight. And there is a population of around 55,000 people. So that's a lot of ground to cover and a lot of people to serve. But now we get to the exciting moment with Candy's about to introduce her candidates.
Okay, thanks, Anne-Maria. Well, look, the first person I want to introduce you to, I first got involved with when we started the Save the Manly Ferries campaign. I was so impressed by this person's energy and commitment, not only to our community, but also to the heritage of Manly. And so he's become actively involved in the Good for Manly group. He has a fantastic professional background in technology and also advisor to small businesses. So ladies and gentlemen, from Balgowlah Heights, it's my great pleasure to introduce to you, Scott Porter.
Hooray.
Hey. Wow, what an introduction, Candy. And thanks, Anne-Maria, for everything you've done so far. I'd like to extend a really warm welcome to everyone who's joining us this evening. I know we've got some serious competition out there because I'm not sure whether you've heard the Olympic Games is on. So we're competing with the Olympic Games this evening, and it's great that so many of you could join us. Let me give you a little bit of background to get things started. Probably just under 30 years ago now, Tracy, my lovely wife, and I moved to North Balgowlah. After a period of time, we've subsequently moved to Balgowlah Heights, and we've raised our two sons at Balgowlah Heights. They're now young adults, but both boys went to the Balgowlah Heights Primary School, and it was at the school, along with Tracy's mother's group and other book clubs that she has been involved with, that we've really met a fantastic group of people that live in the community. Over the years, I've been fortunate enough to get involved in a lot of community activities, and these have actually included things like the Balgowlah Heights Precinct Forum. I was on the committee there for a number of years. I was also part of the PNC, the school PNC committee for a number of years. I just wanted to acknowledge anyone who works and contributes to PNCs. It's a tough job, but it's very rewarding. And then more recently, I've been involved and I've become a volunteer of the Marine Rescue Middle Harbour base, which is down near the Spit there. I'm also quite an avid cyclist. I do quite a bit of mountain biking and road cycling. And so I've been very fortunate to get to know some of the great bike tracks and cycle pathways up and down the northern beaches. And there's a very strong community out there, obviously, of bikers. This is my first time running for local government, and obviously I'm not a career politician. But in the last 5 to 6 years, there's been a number of issues that have come my way that is really starting to lead me towards local government. And one of those happened probably only about 12 months ago, and Candy's already alluded to that. And that is when I first heard about the decision by the New South Wales government to scrap the Manly Ferries and replace them with some other ferries that have been purchased overseas that aren't fit for purpose. I found this news, quite shocking, really. And so before long, I discovered that there was a Save the Manly Ferries committee or group that were operating locally. So I reached out to them via email, and before long, I had arranged to have a coffee with someone called Sandy Bingham. And it was actually one of the most interesting coffees I've had for a long time. And Sandy was great. She introduced me to the Good for Manly team. And before I knew it, I was part of their committee. And now I'm here sharing a ticket with her, hoping to get involved more deeply in the Northern Beaches area. I'm very passionate about protecting the environment. I believe there's a lot we can do from a sustainability perspective in a clever and smart way. And I'm also really keen to make sure that we can build very positive, vibrant communities that we can all live and participate in. I know getting the balance between all those three is quite difficult and quite hard, but I think it's important for us. From a professional career perspective, I've been fortunate enough to work for two fantastic global software companies. The first was Lotus Developments in London, when I lived in London for a number of years. And the second was Microsoft. I worked for Microsoft originally in Sydney, and then I was fortunate enough to gain some experience and responsibilities in Southeast Asia. And then we moved the family across to Microsoft's headquarters in Seattle. And when I was in the US, I was running a fairly large chunk of their business that covered North America, Latin America, and Southeast Asia. On returning to Sydney, I've been able to work with a number of people to help co-found a number of technology businesses. And I've been involved in helping grow those businesses and run those businesses. And more recently, I've been helping small business and startups and advising them. I've obviously got a lot to learn about local government and about some of the issues and some of the challenges that face our community, and particularly in times like now where we're in COVID. There's so much hurt and pain happening, and from a business point of view and from individuals. So there's a lot that I need to learn about. But the great thing is that Candy and the Good for Manly team have some significant local government experience and community experience, which I'm sure I'll be able to tap into from time to time. My initial focus is going to be working with them to help build on the fantastic track record that they've already achieved in the last, probably now more than 5 years.
12
and help them deliver. Sorry, longer than that, is that right? And also help them deliver on some of the new policies that we're going to be announcing and talking about later on in the webinar. So at this point, I'm going to pass back to Candy and look forward to catching up with you all later on.
That's great, Scott. You can see why I was so excited when Scott agreed to become part of our team. And did you hear the very important thing? He's not a career politician. Yay. And so he really fits in with my personal criteria of the sorts of people that we want on our local council, preferably independent. So let me introduce to you our second candidate. Now, this person contacted me a couple of months ago. She had already invested quite a lot of time finding out what is involved in being on local government or in serving in government generally. She's undertaken a number of courses and seminars and clearly has a commitment to wanting to make a difference. And what's great about this person is that she has a very solid management and finance background. So it is an enormous pleasure to introduce to you, all the way from Seaforth, Sonia Walsh.
Hi everyone. Thank you to everyone for being here tonight to support us. Thank you to Candy and the whole team for welcoming me so warmly into the group. As you can tell from my accent, I didn't grow up here. I hail from Yorkshire, Northern England, and I moved here around 20 years ago. I've lived on the Northern Beaches for about 13 years now, and I'm raising my family here with my husband, Scott, and my daughter, Molly, who's 12, and Harry, who's 10, who you probably just saw on the Zoom earlier. Safe to say, we feel grateful and privileged to be calling this stunning area our home. I'm standing because I want to see more gender diversity at all levels of government. A friend dragged me along to the Women's March for Justice earlier in the year, and I asked myself then, if not now, when? New South Wales has the worst record of female representation in local government, sitting at just 28%, and I want to help change that. I'm with an independent party because it shouldn't matter about party colours. Community and their views should always be put first. I want to ensure the community are involved in the governing process through great community consultation. I've been very actively involved with my local school, St Cecilia's Catholic School in Balgowlah, as Parent Network President, and now I'm an advisory committee member. Through this, I've led campaigns to lobby the federal government to modify their proposed changes to funding, and at a state and local government level, I've advocated hard around expected and unforeseen consequences from the Beaches Link tunnel, writing multiple submissions and succeeding in highlighting key concerns that had previously not been considered. I've also been successful in gaining over $250,000 in grant applications for various organisations. I'm also passionate in my spare time about the value of volunteering in our community, and I volunteer regularly in a managing or officiating capacity at Seaforth FC, Balgowlah Suns Junior AFL, Seaforth Netball Club, and Queen's Sea Surf Lifesaving Club for my kids. Professionally, I spent 20 years as a management consultant at PricewaterhouseCoopers and later Lion Nathan, and there I specialised in leading large projects, focusing on effective change and risk management. Through these roles, I've lived and worked all over the world, in London, Paris, Auckland, and Portugal, and seen many cities in action. Personally, I care very passionately about my community and making positive change within it. I like people, I like getting to know people and their stories. I like advocating for people. I like understanding what's going on, what's worrying people, and what's exciting people. I've always respected Candy and what she stands for. She's ethical and engaged in the community, and I feel privileged to be part of the ticket with such a good range of backgrounds and experience. Thank you.
Wow, I'm hoping all three of you get on. There's 3 positions. Wouldn't that be good? A clean sweep for Good for Manly. So thank you, Candy and Scott and Sonia, and we'll hear more from you soon. Now, we want to involve as many of you as possible tonight. I think if you counted some multiples, there's probably more than 100 people on tonight. So that's absolutely wonderful, bearing in mind the competition of the Olympics. And you can type out your questions. There's a facility you can find on your screen, and I'll try to get to as many of them as possible. You can ask any of the 3 candidates a question. So now, it's all about accountability, really, isn't it? So we're going to later on hear about what Good for Manly has achieved so far. But first of all, we're going to hear about what they would like to see achieved in the next term.
Great. So I think that's over to me, Anne-Maria. Thank you. So tonight, what we've decided to do is, obviously because the election has been postponed for another 3 months, we didn't want to reveal everything to you, but I know you're keen to find out about some of our ideas. So we have one particular signature idea that we're extremely excited about that we want to share with you tonight, plus a couple of others that I think you'll be very pleased to hear about. Our signature idea was developed about 18 months ago, where a new committee was formed. And I'd like to show you, first of all, a preview through a video to give you some idea of what it's all about. And what it's about is how we can repurchase the, hang on, how do I do that? I'm pushing the wrong button. So, okay, so Scott, I need you to cancel your sharing, please. So what I want to talk to you about is how we're going to repurpose the Sydney Town Hall. Just have a look at this amazing video and see what you think.
For more than 80 years, the Manly Town Hall was home for the local council. Following council amalgamations, there's transformation in the air for this historic building. Imagine this. Musicians, actors, writers, movies, artists of all kinds performing here, in the heart of Manly and on the edge of Sydney Harbour.
We've looked at this and we think it can work.
Meet Josh Zoll. He's an architect working with a community group with the vision of making the Manly Town Hall a contemporary, multi-purpose performing arts centre.
Its heritage, significance and value can be retained. The building itself lends itself to reinterpretation as a facility for performance. It naturally accommodates a large, flexible performance space, at its core, bookended by front-of-house foyers and back-of-house facilities.
The Manly Town Hall's always been about meetings, so it was apt. The first gathering to talk about creating a state-of-the-art cultural hub was inside the building late in 2019. Artist Warren Manley and writer Anne-Maria Nicholson drew together civic leaders, architects and musicians to win support.
Hello there, this is Jim Bajini from Bingham to give support to the idea of a town hall in Manly. To have such a wonderful facility there in a building that's unbelievable. So let's get behind it and support it. Go for it, Manly Town Hall.
I know so many young performers who would love to perform live at Manly Town Hall.
G'day, this is Ollie and Louie from Lime Cordial. Yeah. Hope all is well. We are just letting you know that we are massive supporters of the Manly Town Hall venue project.
Yes, it's good to have another venue in the Northern Beaches.
I'm Richard Tonyan. The Australian Chamber of Commerce has not played in the area where I live for so long. And it's a big shame. But now the Manly Town Hall is going to be revamped and turned into a performing arts centre, and we can't wait to play.
The COVID pandemic delayed plans, but now the hope is the Northern Beaches Council will embrace the project, and then anything is possible. The push is on, showtime just around the corner, and a thriving night scene. Imagine how good it would be to be going live at the Manly Town Hall. Support the Manly Town Hall project.
So what do you think? Isn't that incredible? And I really want to acknowledge Anne-Maria Nicholson. I mean, she produced that video during COVID, I think, a week. So very impressive, Anne-Maria. Thank you so much. So this is our signature idea. We're very excited about it. And as I mentioned, there is a core committee that was formed 18 months ago of artists, entertainers, theatre management people and so on. They really do believe that we can do this. And not to mention, of course, the amazing architects, our local architects, Coffee and Josh Zoila, who has put these plans together for us, all as a community project. So you'll be hearing a lot more about this in the future. The next one I wanted to mention to you is Cabbage Tree Bay. Now, this beautiful marine reserve is still under threat. I cannot believe it. It is one of our most popular, precious areas, and yet boats are still allowed to anchor here. We've already started a campaign to prevent the anchoring of boats in this area. We have to protect the precious seagrasses. And of course, what are the hundreds and hundreds of swimmers who now swim here every day, even in the middle of winter, not to mention scuba divers and snorkelers. So we want to make Cabbage Tree Bay no boat zone. And we think the best way to do that is to turn it into a designated swimming zone. So you'll be hearing more about that as well. In a moment, I'll introduce you to Scott, who's going to cover off the next couple of items. I just wanted to let you know that we already have, I would say, about 100 people online. So great to see you all. And for those that you were wondering, sorry, we can't see you, but don't you worry. We know that you're all dressed up and looking fabulous. So thanks for joining us online. Over to you, Scott.
Great, thanks for that, Candy. And I mentioned earlier on about my passion about saving the Manly Ferries. And in the last 12 months, the amazing volunteers that have been behind the Save the Manly Ferry campaign have done some fantastic work. One of the things that we initially tried to do is to raise the awareness of the issue and also the opportunity. And the team worked very closely to get a New South Wales parliamentary petition organised. And within a very short period of time, we had over 22,000 people sign up. And that was fantastic effort on behalf of the volunteers. And I thank anyone who did sign that petition. Thanks so much for that. The great news there is that it resulted in a parliamentary debate in the New South Wales Parliament. And the unfortunate part is that it really did expose the gaps in the thinking behind the New South Wales Transport. They really don't have a comprehensive plan to electrify not just the Manly Ferries, but the whole Sydney fleet. And so we think there's some opportunity for us to continue the conversation with them about saving the ferries and also about potentially electrifying not just the Manly Ferries, but the fleet. We've been very fortunate that some amazing experts have put their hand up to help us. And a combination of maritime architects, maritime engineers, and electrical engineers have formed a subcommittee. And these guys have been working very hard and are still pulling together some of the finer details. But we are hoping to be able to share with you more detail in the not distant future. But at a summary level, one of the ideas is potentially taking the existing Manly Ferries and retrofitting them to make them to run cleaner energy and potentially even electrify them totally. Another alternative plan that's being explored is to actually build new ferries with the same very distinctive bows. So it's a bit of a nod to the historic Manly Ferry, but making sure those ferries are 100% electric, running green energy. It's amazing, really. In Australia, we have two world-class ferry manufacturers, one in Tasmania, one in Perth, and one of those companies is actually producing electric ferries already. It's amazing that we can't tap into some of that knowledge and experience and expertise that we have sitting here in Australia. So we'd like to get our proposal back to New South Wales Transport and engage with them in a conversation about what are the various options available to us to help save, maybe not the exact, maybe not these ferries that are in operation today, but save that historic look and feel of them. I suppose I could use the Black London cabs as a great example here. And I'm sure when I've mentioned the black cabs to you, you've got a picture in your mind of what I mean by that. But over the last 20 or 30 years, that London black cab design has evolved to become far more contemporary. They've improved the interior, they've made it more comfortable for passengers, they've upgraded the engines to make them cleaner, run cleaner, and they're actually even moving them to electric engines. And there's no reason why something similar can't happen with the Manly Ferries and also across the whole ferry fleet. In Sydney and in Australia, we're actually running way behind many other countries. And those countries, for example, in Norway, Denmark, Canada, the US, New Zealand, really a whole handful of countries around the world, they've already started to electrify their ferry fleet. So we're running behind. If you'd like to join us, join our campaign. We're always looking for volunteers, and we're always looking for people to put their hand up and help us. So please feel free to reach out to us either online, via our website, drop us a note, an email, and we'd really love and value your contribution in helping us to push the message around upgrading the Manly Ferries. Now, staying on the transport theme for a little bit longer, but this time moving to two wheels. We also think there's a great opportunity for Northern Beaches to continue to grow both our cycleways and our mountain bike tracks. And I do acknowledge that the Northern Beaches initially were very proactive in rolling out the cycleways and mountain bike tracks, but I believe they're a little bit behind at the moment. There's two opportunities, and let's break this conversation into two parts. The first is cycleways, and the second is mountain bike tracks. And just looking at cycleways for a moment, there are two growing trends. There's the growing trend of more people are riding and buying e-scooters and e-bikes, and that trend is going to continue as far as we know. And the other one is, and this was unfortunately thanks to COVID, the trend of people working from home or working from suburban hubs. So we see there's an opportunity for us to connect our fantastic suburban villages together with safe cycleways, and also connect up with transport hubs. So if you are riding an e-scooter or an e-bike, you're probably going to a transport hub. You may want to get to Seaforth or Manly Vale or down to Manly, so you can catch other transport. And if you're a family and maybe you've got some kids going off to school, you probably want them to be able to safely get around with cycleways that are connecting up the various suburban villages that we have in the Manly area. On the mountain bike side, again, the demand is just massive and growing every week. There are more and more riders of various abilities coming out there. And I think there is an opportunity for us to bring the various constituents that include national parks, the rangers within the council, as well as mountain bike clubs and other individuals, and bring them together to build a cohesive plan. There is the opportunity for us to build a fantastic network of mountain bike tracks that connect up together and that service a whole range of different levels. But we'd love to see the council become more proactive on that in that area. And again, a shout out and encourage anyone who's interested in joining us, please make contact with us. We'd love to get some input to help us refine our policy a bit more in both of these areas, but we think they're great opportunities for the area. So at this point, I'm going to pass across to Sonia, who's going to share a few more of our exciting policies with you. Thanks so much.
Scott, do you want to? Another policy that's really important concerns a project that could have a huge impact on our local community, particularly in the Western End towards Seaforth, Manly Vale, North Balgala, and that's the proposed Beaches Link Tunnel. The process of planning and consultation continues around the proposed Beaches Link Tunnel. I've personally read the bulk of the environmental impact statement, and I'm involved ongoing in the identification of further impacts, in particular at my school. This needs to continue to happen, and the impacted parties in the community, particularly in that Western End, made to feel that they are still being listened to and heard, and designs being updated and modified. This may be around local traffic, air, noise, dust, or environmental impacts. The council has done a great job to support many of these groups over the past few years, and to continue to highlight these concerns and advocate for the impacts on our community. Candy has, at the most recent council meeting this week, seconded a motion to the council to request from Transport New South Wales and the Department of Industry and Environment a local roads impact assessment as part of the response to submissions to the EIS. And now moving on to a very important part of our integrated transport policy, and that is the beloved hop, skip and jump service. Now let's cut to the chase. We will fight tooth and nail to protect and preserve this incredibly valuable service. As part of good governance practices, all services should regularly be evaluated, and we therefore support that a review should happen to understand where savings can be made without compromising service. This is a vital transport link that supports our local businesses and provides access to the swim centre, which has doubled in size, but where parking has been reduced. Before COVID, it was used by 400,000 passengers per year, and it's not just the elderly that use it. Children use it to get to school and also families to get around. It also covers areas the public transport system doesn't, in a time when public services are declining. This is a wonderful community service and it needs to stay.
So thank you. We reached the end of that? Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you to Candy, and particularly to the newcomers, to Scott and Sonia, for those splendid policies which we hope one day will see come to fruition. As a former independent councillor myself on Manly Council, it's so inspiring to see new people stepping up with such passion. That's what we need, and integrity. And we don't need political parties in local government. It's just great to have independents who are there to represent the needs of the residents. And now I'd like to invite Candy Bingham to tell us a little bit about what Good for Manly has achieved in the last term.
Oh, great. Thanks, Anne-Maria. Look, I have to be honest with you. When the Good for Manly executive went through the team of what we've been working on for the last 4 years, we were stunned as to just how much we have been able to achieve. And I think a lot of that has to go to the credit of the fact that we work so well with the Mayor, Michael Regan, and the other independents on the council. It's made a huge difference. So $28 million worth of projects has actually been delivered just in our Manly ward over the last 4 years. Now, what we can take credit for. Have a look at our website later on, because there's a lot more things than I'm going to have time to mention tonight, but a couple of them I wanted to mention that you will be well familiar with. Can you remember what East Esplanade was like a couple of years ago? Total dust bowl. Every time it rained, all the topsoil washed off into the harbour. No toilets. It was a disgrace. Well, with the support of the Manly Community Forum and Ray Matheson and myself, we've been working probably for 8 years now, I think, Ray, to get that East Esplanade area fixed. And what a fabulous job the council has done with the landscaping and the most beautiful toilet. I think people, when it first opened, thought it was a cafe. It looks so delightful. So that's been a great achievement. And West Esplanade is coming. Similar landscaping will be done at West Esplanade in this financial year. The other thing that I think was really important right from day one was we felt that there needed to be master plans for our major parks and reserves. There's never really been long-term consideration as to how these areas should be designed and looked after. So again, working with the Manly Community Forum, master plans were done for Little Manly and Little Manly Point. We're finally going to get a toilet there this financial year. That's taken a long time, but that's happening. And then with the support of the North Harbour precinct group with Terry LaRue and Delene Evans and their colleagues, some fabulous master planning has been done for North Harbour. And again, you can see that work is already starting to roll out. Working with the Clontarf precinct with Lynn and Phil Young and their members. Clontarf now has a fantastic master plan. And again, you've sort of seen some of that work has been rolled out. And look out for an amazing playground that's going to be happening there this financial year. In fact, I suspect I think they might have even started on it now. And Little Manly's got a playground coming as well. The other thing, I don't know whether I'm going to mention this one, the parking scheme. But again, let's be honest, what a debacle that parking permit scheme was in Manly, where thousands and thousands of people had permits who weren't entitled to them. It was a tough one, but I think as a community, we worked through it. And I believe that we've got a very good resident parking scheme now, which enables most residents to be able to park near their homes. So that was really worthwhile doing. Other things I think that I'm very proud of is the upgrade of the playgrounds that have been happening. A lot of our sporting ovals have had a resurgent. Toilets have been refurbed. And of course, Manly Oval was heritage listed. And we really need to thank the Save the Manly Oval Alliance with Rob Burgess, Jack Stegall and Roger Freeney and Judy Lambeth, who did so much work to make sure that heritage listing came through. And now, as a consequence of that, the council's in a process of doing a master plan for that area and for Ivanhoe Park. And the final one I want to mention is Manly Surf Club. That building is a disgrace. It's our iconic surf club in iconic Manly. And I'm so excited that the council has agreed to rebuild, knock down and rebuild that building. And with the support of Zali Stegall and federal government, we've got some funding. We're still hoping that we'll get some funding from the state government as well. But the process has already started with expressions of interest for architects and so on. So that's a good start, and have a look at the website. And also I think you can see that we're very focused on a whole range of things: environment, transport, arts and culture, all being considered as part of how we can make our beautiful Manly ward better. And of course, history and heritage is a big part of that. Thanks, Anne-Maria.
Thank you, Candy, and thank you sincerely from all of us for all that hard work that you put in. We do appreciate it, and you help to make our beautiful area even more beautiful, and we look forward to your continuing presence on the council. So now it's time for you to ask some questions. There's quite a few have come in, and I'm just going to start with the first one that's going to Candy from Joan. I've just received my rates notice and I don't understand why it is so high compared to previous years. What's the council going to do with this extra money?
Okay.
You're signing for a tough one there. Sorry.
Yes, I know, that's all right. Well, thanks, Joan. And to be honest with you, a lot of people are getting a shock when they're opening their rates notice, and for good reason. Our rates have gone up 26%, and that's quite horrifying. But there's lots of good reasons why that's happened. First of all, you may remember that when we were amalgamated, it was a requirement by the state government that all the rates across the three councils remain the same. What we discovered was that Manly Council were charging much less rate in the dollar than Warringah and Pittwater. And consequently, if you look around Manly back then, you can begin to understand why our infrastructure was falling apart, why we were getting, our services were fine, our parks were neat and tidy, but the infrastructure was absolutely falling apart. We also discovered that Manly Council had a $66 million debt, and that they were paying $5.4 million a year in interest. Unbelievable. Anyway, the good news is Northern Beaches Council has paid off those loans, and we're absolutely getting more than our fair share, I believe, of infrastructure now. So I'm sorry, we fought hard. Councillor Grattan and I fought very hard to try and get that spread out over 4 years. But the challenge is there's 10,000 homes that are affected by that big increase. The other 90,000 homes are getting a minor decrease. So it was very hard for us to convince the other councils that shouldn't be introduced. So great question, Joan. I hope I've answered it for you.
Thanks, Candy. And now to Scott from Steve. You support the retention of the large ferries, but they're often almost empty on some of the runs, with people, particularly young ones, opting to take the fast ferries. Do you think having both services is financially viable?
That's a great question, Steve, and great observation also. And you're absolutely right. When you go down at peak hour in particular, the large ferries aren't full because the commuters are using the fast ferries to get to and from work. But I think we also have a little problem at the moment called COVID, and that's changing the patterns of commuting patterns that's occurring. If we just go back pre-COVID, the classic Manly ferries were moving around, well, in fact, over 4 million of people were being transported by the iconic Manly ferries every year. And those 4 million people were mostly visitors and tourists to the area, bringing amazing amounts of tourist dollars to not just Manly, but to the Northern Beaches. And so we can't forget that at some point the borders will open up and our visitors will start coming back, and we'll have those tourism dollars flowing again. So I think really it's about scheduling. We absolutely agree and acknowledge that there is a need for a fast ferry for commuters who are in a hurry and they just want to get to and from work. But then there needs to be some capability to move large volumes of people in a more, I suppose, relaxed way, allowing them the opportunity to see the beautiful, amazing harbour that we live in, as well as enjoy their journey along the way. And we do see a place for the ferries. It's just a matter of scheduling them at the right times and to work with the commuting ferries. So I hope that answers his question.
Thank you, Scott. And to Sonia from Wendy, what is the value of having independence on the council?
Well, I think, as you can see from the history of Manly and Warringah Council in particular, there's been a strong history of independence standing and independence delivering and achieving. I think really at a local government level, it should come down to what the community is wanting, and the community should be listened to. Therefore, I believe that the value of independence is growing even more.
Okay, thank you. And from well, a number of people are very interested in the office, David and Laurie and Peter to Candy. The office on the Esplanade near Manly Wharf is a popular meeting place for families and young people. You support its continuation, but there have been complaints. How will you ensure it's managed properly?
That's a great question, Peter, because it has been a challenge. And I think one of the things is we're very committed to keeping the office area open. It's so popular. The vibe down there is amazing. And I'm on the safety committee with the police and others. We meet every second month, and they assure me that the antisocial behaviour down there is practically non-existent. So I think the key there is that we have to make sure that it's managed well, because obviously the residents down there want to make sure that their amenity is protected. But also we have to make sure that people can have a beautiful area overlooking the harbour where they can have a quiet drink. So we have rangers now permanently trained who go down there regularly, and during that summer period, the police and the rangers work very closely together just to keep everybody safe. So thanks for the question.
Now here's another one to Scott, I think from another Scott. And, you know, we're all very caught up with COVID at the moment. It's having terrible consequences for everybody. But this question is, how can we help local businesses to recover post-COVID and make all our suburbs more vibrant, especially the non-Manly hubs, like in Seaforth, Balgowlah Heights, etc. Scott.
Yeah, love your question, Scott, and thanks very much for taking the time to join us this evening. It's a great one, because I think there's still a lot of work that we need to do. We're obviously not out of the COVID situation at the moment, and it may be months before we get to a point where we move into the recovery phase. But we certainly, as a team, have been talking about what are the opportunities for us to help revitalise those suburban villages and connect them together. And I touched on that slightly around the cycling pathways. But I think there's an opportunity for us to do so much more to help both the businesses as well as the communities come together post-COVID. We don't have any clear plans right now, and I know Candy will be able to comment a little bit about what the council is doing specifically about adjusting rates and not so much rates, sorry, but adjusting levies, etc. And I'll let Candy pick that up in a second. So it's very much on our agenda, Scott, and it's something that we have thought about and thinking about. We just don't have anything right now that we can share with you. So I might pass across to Candy to just comment on what the council's doing currently.
Okay, great. Well, actually, the council's doing a lot, and I must say I'm very proud of the way that the council has responded in this regard. So many of you know that, of course, hospitality is such an important part of the Northern Beaches. So outdoor dining fees was one of the first things that we waived, and when businesses were allowed to operate outdoors, we allowed them to extend way beyond what they were normally allowed to use in pavements and so on. And that's proved very popular. So that will come back again. And we've just voted to waive the outdoor dining fees until the end of December. Council also has a tremendous service. We have coordinators who work with the businesses in the various local areas who advise businesses on where they can get grants and support from state and federal. And there is also availability of hardship. So if you're having difficulty with rates and so on, you can apply for hardship grants as well. So that's just a very small part of what the council's doing, working with state and federal on these matters.
So here's another question. It's from the Manly Observer. And how pleased are we to see the Manly Observer? We've lost the printed Manly Daily, and it's great to see some new publications. Now, this one is understandably, there's a bit of confusion about the town hall concept, because at this stage it is a concept. Love the video. Just wondering though, isn't this already out to public for ideas and in the works with the council potentially? Candy?
Yes, you're absolutely right, Kim. So what the situation is that council owns over 500 properties. And so they're in the process of doing property asset, what they call it, property asset management. So what they've identified is that the Manly Town Hall is surplus to requirements, but it'll be quite a few months yet before they decide what they'll be doing with the other buildings. And of course, there are staff in the Manly Town Hall who will need to be relocated. Last year, just before Christmas, they sent out a community consultation, just asking people what would they like to see happen at the town hall. And we were very pleased to see that our idea was actually right there at the top. People really want the space to be used for performances, community centres, things like that. So I expect in the next few months, the council will be picking out what they consider are the top 4 ideas and doing a feasibility study on those. The committee that I've been working with, though, are way ahead of everybody. They've already done an enormous amount of work, and we know that what's proposed is viable, and we also believe that it will be self-sustainable once it's done. So I think our main role is to get the community enthusiastic so that we can get support for this particular idea, because I believe it's something that will make a huge difference to the businesses in Manly and really give Manly a lift culturally as well.
Thank you. And here's a question for Sonia from Anne. The COVID lockdown is having a significant mental health impact on the Northern Beaches community. What can the council do to help these people?
Thank you. That's a very important.
That could include all of us, by the way.
And thank you. That's such an important topic to be talking about this evening, particularly as we are now in our 3rd extended lockdown on the Northern Beaches. And it's normal to feel anxiety and fear for the future at the moment. As individuals, I think the council can be doing more, particularly thinking about what, particularly from a Northern Beaches perspective, is special in terms of the mental health issues that we're experiencing on the Northern Beaches, and thinking about programs that could be put in place to address those. So especially tailored Northern Beaches program is what we would be advocating for.
Okay. And sorry, I'm just having a bit of trouble with these questions here. There's one here that is from Richard, I think, to Candy, and it's really about sustainable housing in the future. It's quite complex, this, but just briefly, do you have anything you can say about what the council will be looking for diverse housing types and more affordable housing in the future?
Yes, thanks, Richard. That's actually very timely. The council is currently looking at its housing strategy. It's been put out on public exhibition, and a big part of it is having more flexibility in the types of housing that people can build. So dual housing, manor housing, which is like the old apartment blocks with 2 up and 2 below, those sorts of opportunities. And we're inviting the community to tell us if they're comfortable with more townhouses being built and things like that. There will be no high rise in Manly, let me assure you. That's something that we definitely won't be doing. But affordable housing is something that's dear to all of our hearts. We all want our children and grandchildren to be able to live here. And so the big challenge there is the cost of the land, to be honest with you. But what council has done is we're creating a scheme, and any new developments that are done in the future, 10% will have to be set aside for affordable housing, which the council will manage and will use for key workers and so on at affordable rates. And we've just had our first one at Narrabeen. Council's just approved one at Narrabeen, and $1 million from that one project has gone into the affordable housing scheme. So we're on it. We know how important it is, but there's still a lot more to be done.
Okay, thank you, Candy. There are some other questions, but we really don't have time at the moment. But all the candidates have access to them, and we'll be able to maybe put some general emails out. I think. Do you think, Candy, to answer the rest?
Yeah, sure. What we'll do is we do have our newsletter that comes out every month. So there'll be a newsletter coming out shortly. So if you're not already receiving our newsletter, jump on the website and subscribe to that. And please feel free to send any questions that you have to us directly. I'm always busy answering emails and happy to respond in that way.
That's great. So it's party time. So if you have a glass of bubbly or something else in your hand and a hat, I think I've got a hat here somewhere. It's time to put it on. And it's got a hat happening here. There we go. Hat. Other people got hats. There we go. A bit crooked.
I think Sonia's really gone to town with her hat.
I've got a stray ribbon happening there. That's all right. And a glass. So I want everybody to toast Good for Manly and wish them every success. And wouldn't it be great to get all three of you on? You're all fantastic. And in the meantime, I'll ask Candy to wrap up. By the way, there's about another hour.
Oh, hang on, we've got to see our photos. Don't
Oh,
forget.
we've seen photos. That's right. We've got photos.
Don't go, everybody. We've got people have been sending in their photographs of them in their hats. Let's just quickly show you those. They're good fun.
Right. There are a number of fantastic hats that have come in, so I'll quickly go through them. Here's the first round.
Yes, I'm recognising a few of these people here.
Now, Candy, you should recognise one or two of these people.
Absolutely. So we have Yana here, who's on our committee, and Jeremy. And I think, oh, who's that attractive young woman? I think that's your daughter, isn't it, Anne-Maria?
It might be. It might be, yes.
Can we have the other ones that you went to before? Can we just have a quick look?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Annie Jones, I just saw there.
There we are. There's Marican and Doug, and Laurie and David. And, oh, there's Dorset and Jenny. Great to see you guys. Thanks for sending in your photos.
And then the next batch is here.
We've got Anne Jones and, oh, there's Henrietta and Richard. And I'm not sure who's that. Oh, is that, who recognize? Oh, that's Robin Mary Burgess. Great to see you guys. Thanks for sending those through.
Fantastic.
Oh, how cute are these?
You must be able to recognise that one on the top right.
Oh, yes.
I'm wearing the hat now.
Oh, there you go. And who's this lovely man on the left or the right?
These are friends of my youngest son, actually. They've decided to join in the party and to help celebrate.
Great to have young people involved in our local government.
And some more.
Let's see who we got here. Well, there's Laurie and David again, and I can see Doris. I'm not sure who.
Julie.
Oh, Julie.
Yes, and one of Alex's friends also.
Oh, lovely. Oh, that is tremendous. Guys, great photos. Thanks for sending those in.
Thank you, everyone. And we're going to wrap up soon. And who knows, before December the 4th, we might be able to meet in person for a function. That's yet to be decided. But Candy, I wonder if you could wrap up and talk about maybe how people can help, volunteer, whatever they can do.
Absolutely. Quick sip of champagne first.
Yes. Yes.
Cheers, everybody. Now, look, this has been a launch with a difference, and I hope it's worked for you guys. We've had fun doing it for you. Anne-Maria, thank you. What a legend you are. No wonder you're such a professional. And of course, don't forget, you can book Anne-Maria as one of our auction prizes. She can help you do a very professional Zoom presentation if you've got that coming up. Look, I really want to thank Anne-Maria and Warren Langley for spearheading the idea of the Town Hall Live project. It's so exciting. And also the committee members who are online tonight, thank you for your involvement over the last 18 months in putting that idea together. And we will keep developing that and release that to you. We've also want to particularly thank Laurie Callahan and Wendy Marceau, who helped us put tonight together. Thanks, guys. The rest of our campaign committee is Julie Beasley, who's our legend dealing with volunteers. Yara Soletto, who does our amazing blogs and bits and pieces. Anne Jones, who's helping us with policy. Linda Williamson, who's helping us with everything that we ask her to help us with. And of course, our candidates, Sonia Walsh and Scott Porter. And also, I really would like to acknowledge the Good for Manly executive. So in addition to the campaign team, a member of, we also have our executive, and that includes my husband, Jeremy Bingham. Thank you, Jem, you're amazing. Stephen Breckenridge, Jonathan Throp, and Kyla Doyle. Thank you all. You are fantastic.
Yes, well done.
So good night. Have fun. Hopefully we'll get to see you in person real soon.
Bye.
See you.
Over and out.
Thank you.